Hey everybody, welcome to our first week of our October newsletter. Thank you for listening in, and we had a great September here at Truen Group. Everyone had a chance to take a little break. We had some vacations going on, but in our office we had this downsizing brunch. It was well attended. We had some great information going on. In fact, we're thinking of doing it again, but in the evening for those of us who are 50 plus and still working during the day, to come and kind of check it out if you or someone you know is thinking of downsizing. So stay tuned for those dates. It's probably going to be early 2023. But a lot of the questions that came up were for our mortgage advisor, Dave Craig, and about interest rates and what's going on in the market. So this week, let's talk about that. So what's on everyone's mind, first and foremost, is interest rates. So let's just touch on that first.
Okay. So you guys have all been hearing on the news, I'm sure, the Federal Reserve has been raising the prime interest rate to curb inflation, I guess would be the way to say that. And how does that affect on mortgage rates? So the prime interest rate's more of a short-term rate affecting car loans and credit cards, whereas a mortgage is a long-term rate, which is based off of how the bond market reacts to what the Federal Reserve does. So it does make our rates go up, but if you hear that the prime went up 1%, mortgage rates don't necessarily go up 1% too.
Right.
But because of everything they've been doing, the market's been extremely volatile. And so we've seen rates ranging from 5% up to 7% over the last couple months.
I know, and it freaks people out because they're like, oh, why can't I get that 5%? And they read in the paper we're at 7, and is it going to keep going up?
Right. So, speculation is that right now the Fed's still trying to curb inflation, but things are working. So we're seeing lumber prices going down. We're seeing used cars being a little bit more affordable than they were, let's say, 6 months ago.
Just even available.
And available too, that's true, because
Right.
availability. And so those are signs that what they're doing is working. And so once they get a little more control over the whole market with the real estate and everything like that, then you'll see them slow down on raising that interest rate. There are some people that are saying they think they're going too aggressive with it, but I think that's okay for now. They just got to get it under control. And then
I was just going to say, with higher interest rates, and we've talked about this several times, is that it means we're not in multiple offers like we were before.
Yep.
I mean, there's finally an easing of the market. The market hasn't gone backwards. We're still saying that.
Right.
That's still holding true. Housing prices aren't depreciating, and the buyers who are in the market and are serious.
Yes. And what I'm hearing about the depreciation or not depreciation of the value is that, prices are going up 12 to 15% a year, and now they're just going to start going up a little bit less per year. It's not that they're going to go backwards. It won't be like 2008 where we
20%, 18%, yeah.
Right.
Because I think the average is way below, typical, and we needed to get a little bit normal.
Yeah. So once we have inflation, or the Federal Reserve feels like they have inflation under control, then the news will be what's going on with this global recession talk that they're talking about.
Right.
Because if we feel like we're going into a global recession, you are going to see rates kind of swing back and start going down. And I always talk about the pendulum effect. Right now with what's going on, we're seeing the rates swing up to around the 7% area. And sometimes that pendulum swing too far, and give it a little bit of time and it'll come back.
Right.
And then if the recessions become the big news, I think we'll see them drop back down quite a bit. More than 1%, I would think.
Right. We're not advising you to wait for interest rates to go backwards. We do know that, and we've looked at some numbers. Your interest rate does affect your payment, and sometimes significantly.
Right. So, a 1% change in the interest rate on like a $350,000 mortgage is about $200 a month in the payment.
Which can be a lot for some people.
Right.
But again, you're not in multiple offers, so you're not offering 20, 30. We've seen 100,000 plus over asking.
Yes, and I've seen that changing where people are getting it for 20, 25,000 less than it was listed at.
Right.
So that's making up a big difference, and that right there, that 25,000 is $125 a month difference in payment.
Right.
So that getting it for a lower price is making up the difference for that higher rate, or at least some of it.
And then they also, let's use this term benefit pretty loosely, but another benefit is if they're in at a different, let's call it a higher rate. It's not high historically, but higher than it was. Their refi options, unless you're going to live in your house for like 2 years and move.
Right.
which
So-
we don't recommend.
And I've seen this happen a lot. I've been in the business for over 30 years, and I've seen many cycles where it goes up and down. So there's going to be a time where it drops back down. Once it drops 1 to 2% below what you're locked in at, it'll be worth refinancing. You know, you'll just want to look at the numbers at that time and see how much it's going to cost and how much
Right.
you're saving. And like you said, how long you're going to be there.
Right, right.
You know, and a lot of times I'll find if you get in now at the rates where they are and they're paying a 30-year fixed rate payment and you're comfortable with that and it drops 1.5%, a lot of times I advise people to look at a 20-year mortgage at that time. Because a lot of times the payment will be exactly the same what you're paying now, but you'll pay it off a lot quicker. So those options show up too.
Yeah, and we had this downsizing brunch last month, and one of the things with the people you were talking to here, you really should sit down with you,
Yeah.
with a mortgage advisor, with him, and talk about where you're at, what are your options, whether you're purchasing, refinancing,
Yep.
what your goals are. It's obligation free. There's no
Right.
charge to do that, and it really helps you establish part of your financial picture that's super important right now.
Yes, and I can run payments and things like that so you can get an idea what that payment's going to be on a house that you'd like to buy.
Yeah, exactly.
And you mentioned historical rates. So the average rate since the 70s has been around 6.3%. I think it's 6.29%.
Yeah.
So we're right in that range of the average rate.
Right, right. We're not Crazyville.
Right.
We're not Crazyville. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So thanks for listening in. I think the big message here is that you need to listen to the experts. You need to go to someone who can advise you of where you're at and what you're thinking of doing or planning on doing. And please stay tuned for next week when Chantel and Sherry are here to talk about some of our fantastic fall local events in the St. Croix Valley. And as always, we're here to guide you. Give us a call if you have any real estate needs.